Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Jay Encarnacion, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are thrilled to have Alana Cheeks Lomax and Gary Johnson, co-founders of Untold Impact. Based in Los Angeles, Untold Impact, founded by Alana and Gary, is a culture and community strategy consultancy revolutionizing how brands build authentic trust with Black and multicultural audiences through cultural intelligence and community-centered design. Alana brings her expertise in community engagement, seen through her work like Office Hours, the Black Girl podcast, while Gary leverages over 15 years as a social impact innovator and brand partnerships leader, with contributions to organizations like Food Bank for New York City. We'll be exploring their founding story, how their business empowers brands to connect authentically, and their vision for scaling this impact-driven venture. So with that being said, let's dive right into it. Alana and Gary, welcome to Founders Future.
Thank you, Jay.
Thanks, Shit. Thanks for that intro. It was good to hear all the things that we've
The
been
things,
doing
right? When you
in real
listen.
life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Incredible to have both of you on the show today and an amazing background. So truly a pleasure to have you on the show today. So really would love for you guys to start at the top for our listeners here. If you could take us back to the beginning, what specific problem in the cultural or community engagement landscape really inspired you to start Untold Impact?
Yeah, I'll jump in. Thank you for the space, Jay, too, just to continue to chat about what we're doing. Gary and I have known each other many years. We have worked in a number of industries across tech, private sector, nonprofit, you name it, we've seen it. And I think one of the things that we've always seen across many industries is that there's a need for organizations to be thinking about how they're engaging with new customer groups and new markets, but not everyone knows how to do it and do it in the right way. We see Black and multicultural audiences as really today's culture shaping markets, and we are a $5 trillion market and only growing. And we want organizations to be thoughtful about how they're embedding the work. And I think we have worked at organizations where we didn't see that very well and decided, let's help people understand how to navigate and how to build trust. And especially in a world right now where we feel like there's little trust in whether it's a product or a system. There's got to be a way for people to engage in the right way with culture and in the right way with audiences to get people to keep coming back to them. And we are trying to help people fill that gap and do it in a way that feels purposeful, but also drives real impact.
I love that. So I would really love for you guys to get into the nuts and bolts with us here for the listeners, especially with what you're doing with Untold Impact today and how you're generating revenue. So if you can walk us through, I have a three-part question for you guys. What the core offer is. I know you have some cultural strategy development, behavioral research. What exactly is that core offer? How is it structured for your clients? And most importantly, is who is the ideal client that you guys work with on these offers?
Yeah, I can kick this off. At face value, we're a strategy consultant. So we're really helping our clients problem solve as it relates to helping them develop what we call cultural intelligence or cultural competency. And so they can be B2C, a consumer-facing brand where they're designing financial inclusion products. In some cases, they're a restaurant trying to figure out how they're integrating into local communities, really thinking, helping them think through those nuances of how they're connecting with their core consumers, provided that those consumers are within that broader scope of Black and multicultural audience segments. And then on the other side, we are working with a government and NGO organizations because we believe government organizations need to understand culture to deepen their impact, right? If you really truly understand who your core customers are, and understand the value of culture and how that influences behavior and government consumption, that will inform how you create policies, right? How you create programs that really go that extra mile, that have that impact that we want to see from our government. It's kind of answering like who our ideal customers are. They both fall into those two buckets of B2C and government social enterprise organizations. At a high level, we have a few different services. You already mentioned the data and research, and that's what we like to lead with. I think we're a data-driven organization. We like to focus on providing that customer research, that bespoke cultural intelligence research for our clients. And then coupled with that, we provide more general advisory support, right? So how do we take those insights and extrapolate that into strategy, into program design, et cetera? And then finally, we have this offering that we like to call Moments That Matter. This is where we help our clients go where their customers are, right? And so this could be, how do you show up at a conference like Afrotech, right? How do you think about community engagement in a way that sort of speaks to the needs and the experiences of the customer or the constituents that you're trying to engage? So those are the three distinct offerings: data and research, advisory and strategy support, and then more bespoke kind of moments that matter, experiential support for our clients.
Incredible. Incredible. So on that same front, I would love to hear from you guys here. How are you approaching the idea of scaling Untold Impact, especially with these services that you have here? What's the mindset around the productization of the services and the offerings and scaling to that next level? Or are you guys trying to keep it boutique? What's the mindset on that front?
We have a few different ideas in terms of scale. I think a lot of it stems from, sorry, I'm going out of order, Alana, but
No,
I
go
just,
ahead. Go
Good.
ahead.
I think for us, the opportunity is in the data, right? And so we're really going to be focusing on how do we build up this framework of cultural intelligence and build a data platform around that. And that's the focus. And the consulting services is the baseline for who we are, but we're really going to be focusing on the platform that we'll be developing, and happy to share more at a later date. But that's our path to scale. We also see like this sort of recalcitrant recalcitrant sort of reaction to inclusion is a point in time, right? In that brands, businesses are going to realize in order to grow, you are going to need to understand a diverse consumer, right? That has global impact. While the market is in this sort of bear market right now, we think that there will be long-term growth for brands and for organizations that value inclusion and want to do the work. I think we think DEI as it was is had to evolve. We think that we want to be at the forefront of that evolution. So we think there's a lot of growth and scale into the thought leadership around this new iteration of DEI that we're calling cultural intelligence. And then really just focusing on beyond hiring metrics, but how do we really move the needle? How do we have impact? How do we focus on multiple bottom lines, profit and impact at the same time?
Yeah, yeah. Just to add to that, prior to starting this company, my last role was the Chief Diversity Officer of Cash App, which is a big brand that many people know and served a lot of customers. And one of the things that we're continuing to see in this space, as Gary's saying, diversity, equity, inclusion, we're almost at the ground floor for it. But the conversation continues to evolve. And even as a practitioner in the space, it's not just about race and gender, right? There's the experiences. It's even generational. We're starting to see how generations are popping up and thinking about business problems, or even some of the other side around government and what that looks like. And I think as we think about the vision for our company, right now it's just Gary and I are very, very small. We have a larger vision for how we're growing and scaling and adding new offerings that will really help our clients. And for us right now, it's really, what are our clients looking for in the marketplace? What are people needing at this moment? And meeting them where they're at as we continue to add more to what we're building.
Incredible. So with that, I would love to get into a bit more of the acquisition side with you guys and what's working best on that side. So whether it's the ad side or the social media side or the referrals, what channels have you seen be most effective in what you're doing to bring in new clients consistently for you?
Yeah, I think for us right now, Jay, it's really been word of mouth. It's our network. Like we have our email list and we're blasting people, but it's like every person that we meet, we tell them what we're doing, and it's other people who are in our network that are bringing us business or are connecting us with clients. One of the other things we've really been focused on too is our thought leadership in this space, because the work we're doing is, bespoke might not be the right word, but I think we're entering new territory and we're trying to establish something new. So we spent a lot of time on LinkedIn as well, building our brand, putting thought leadership out there. We're actually about to release a white paper in a couple of weeks. So for us, that's really been how we've gaining clients. And I know as we start to get bigger, I'm sure we'll add some more systems in place to start doing additional outreach for new business.
Love it. So with that there, obviously, just to piggyback off of the scaling aspect that you guys are looking to achieve, being that referrals is pretty much a big piece there. Obviously, the big thing is predictability. So is
Yeah.
that the next thing in line of adding, maybe implementing some of those ads or really expanding more on the social media to have more of a predictable lead generation system in place?
Yeah, that's the plan. As you know, with entrepreneurship, I wish we had 1,000 hands to do all the things, but that is actually the plan as we're thinking about 2026 is just how do we automate some of this so people are coming to us? It's kind of like we build it and they will find us, like field of dreams situation. So trying to get that in place as well at some point.
I love that. So it sounds like that's more of a bottleneck right now of that predictability in the lead gen system. But as you continue to build and grow, that's a bottleneck that you're breaking through at the.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're actively building our CRM tool. We've been debating on which tool we should use.
Yeah.
So I think we have a few ways that we're blasting our network to build that pipeline,
Yeah.
but recognizing having a CRM that we can regularly tap into is important because we're meeting with so many people. So
Yeah, absolutely.
part of
Absolutely.
our the growing pains in our path to scale as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty, right? And why I love hosting the show is being able to hear so many different founders and where they are on their journeys, and for you guys to see the success that you're seeing, and now having that scale in mind of okay, here's the pieces that need to be put into place. And just phenomenal hearing that from you guys, especially for our listeners who are in a similar situation and scenario and are looking, okay, what can I do? What can I put in place now to continue that growth and effort for scale? So just incredible on that front. So as far as the process itself, the sales process for what you're doing, is it just you two running the show here for Untold Impact, or do you have a sales team and a marketing team and a team behind you? How does that look on that standpoint?
Yeah, I wish we had a sales and marketing team. It's Gary and I. We have two volunteers who have been helping us with like social media and managing some of our other assets. We also have a podcast too that we have launched, and but really it's us. We're pitching. We're the one that are connecting with people because we also recognize as part of sales, people are buying us. We want to build those relationships and be personable with people, so they feel like they want to partner with us and that they see us as good partners for them.
So is that next step as well as maybe bringing on a setter and a closer and putting you guys more in that founder role so you can focus on the more of the fulfillment side, not so much of the front end sales marketing side of things? Gotcha.
Yeah, that would be ideal. I think we always want to maintain like a pretty lean team. I think we could stand to focus on a bit more of the strategic work and how to grow the clients at some point in time. I think we're enjoying the sales process. I think we're still pretty early in our development where we want to stay close. Yeah, I don't. It could be of interest.
Love that. Obviously, a couple of the bottlenecks that stand out, as I mentioned earlier, was that predictability around the lead gen side. Now the sales side, being able to have a sales team so you guys can focus on that. As far as bottlenecks go, are those the main ones that you're thinking about, or are there any others that you're thinking about there that you have to break through for that scale?
Other bottlenecks?
Yeah.
I think it's time, right? I think as Alana mentioned, it's like there's so many things we want to do, and I often say like just being able to keep up with our ambition and staying organized. I think that's something that we've been pretty decent about is in our process. I think in terms of bottlenecks, I think there's like where the market is, right? There are things like how do you cut through with a pretty niche tool and some concept. And then, yeah, I think sure, establishing a sales process could be helpful, and that's something that we've been working on.
Yeah, love it. I love that. So paint us the picture here for our listeners. What does the rest of 2025 look like for you guys, Alana and Gary, going into and scaling Untold Impact?
Yeah,
What are you guys really laser focused on for the rest of this year for that?
yeah, I can start with this one, Alana. So I think we're excited. I think we are firing on all cylinders. We are actively pitching. We're excited that we're selling in some work
Yep.
over this week, which we're really excited about to share more. We mentioned the white paper that we have coming. We're going to be focusing on our data tool this year. But we're also doubling down on that concept of moments that matter. We think that there's this sort of demand to be in person, right? And demand for, clients to want to be where their customers are to build community. And so we really want to build our own community. So we're going to be activating starting in October during LA Tech Week here in LA. We're hosting a dinner. We have plans to be at Art Basel this year in December as well, also hosting a dinner with a few partners. So we're excited about a number of things, including continuing our podcast. So we have a lot of things coming down the pike, including some client work that we're looking forward to.
Yeah, yeah. I would add to that and just say that one thing that I'm also excited about is that we're continuing to find our people, which I think is hard when you're an entrepreneur. Like you just put yourself out there and then you're like, all right, I got to keep finding the folks that want to buy what I want to buy. And the past few months have been us also adding some other strategic partners to the team, like our head of research. We also have another founder that has joined our team that's helping with a lot of editorial and comms and development around workshops. So I think that gets me excited because I think the more we bring people together, the more exposure we'll get and continue to just scale what we feel and know to be the right work. Even though, as Gary alluded to earlier, this is a tough moment in time, we know this is so important.
Love it. I absolutely love that. Hypothetically speaking, if we were to snap our fingers right now for you and you had unlimited resources at your fingertips, what do you think you're implementing immediately to accelerate Untold Impact's growth?
Ooh, to accelerate our growth, I think we need to, which we are, dialing in our sort of sales CRM process and understanding who we've met with, where do we leave it, how do we follow up. In unlimited resources, I'm like, oh, we can do whatever. I think hire like a chief of staff that can like just kind of help manage our day to day and travel and all those things. But I think we have a lot of what we need. I think it's a matter of operational some things that we need to tie up, but I think we're close. So yeah, I feel like I'm not using my blank check really well, but I think
I'll add two roles to that. I would hire a head of biz dev so that we could have someone whose literally only job is thinking about business development, where we need to be, who we need to be talking to, conferences, places, that sort of stuff. And then the other position I would be hiring would be content. I would be helping someone build our brand. And I think we do a lot of that ourselves, but who is the person that's constantly helping us thinking about the story we're telling, how we're telling the story, where we're putting ourselves out there so that we are continuing to build that? Because right now I feel like the name of the game with any business is content, whether it's a personal brand, professional brand. And I think that's what sets people apart. So that would be my unlimited check for a moment,
yeah.
Jay. So I think of other
The-
stuff.
And the third one would be like our designer. Like I'd love to
Yeah.
bring in our designer who we work with
Full
on a
time.
full-time basis. Content is also, I would second that. And of course, like sales BD,
Yeah.
the three things that would I would help.
I love it. I love it. So with that, I do want to take us into the lightning round here.
Okay.
And I have two questions for you before we wrap up the show. And the first one's going to be on the evolution. So how do you guys both see the culture and community strategy industry evolving in the coming years, especially with your community-centered approach? What are you really doing to take advantage of that evolution that you're picturing?
I'm happy to
Yeah,
jump in.
jump in.
I
Yeah.
actually, so I think that I referenced this earlier. I think we're at the new ground floor for how we think about community, diversity, and inclusion, especially here in the United States. I think that we are in a space right now where people are looking for answers, but I think the definitions that we have applied to this work are shifting. And I think as people are recognizing the human centeredness of it all and putting humans back at the center of decisions and why we're making decisions for people, I think that this will continue to explode because I feel like, especially the moment we're in now, I think people are recognizing shared humanity in a very different way than they did before. And I just think community will be the center of everything. Whether you're an employer who has an internal team and you need to keep your folks like at your company, how do you define community around that and keeping employees happy? It's how do you think about community when it comes to products and services you're developing? Because there are literal people out there that need to use your products and things that you build. And then it's the community that needs to actually be buying into that. So I feel like community is really the underlying piece, and we've gotten so far from that, but I think we'll continue to move towards that. And I think that's the future of a lot of this work.
Yeah. I think my short answer would be designing for the human experience. I think AI, the very nature of the internet and social media is to keep us between screens.
Yes.
And it cuts the human experience and the community nature. And so we're really going to be optimizing for that human-centered design, right, and putting the human at the forefront of the experience. And then coupling that with cultural intelligence, because we think that's where the world is headed. I think that's the arc of our growth.
Incredible. So last, certainly not least here, before we wrap up the show, what is the best piece of advice that you guys can offer to our listeners tuning in right now? Just heard your incredible journey and where you're really looking to take Untold
Yeah.
Impact. What can you leave them with before we wrap up today?
I'm gonna let you start, Alana.
Yeah, I've got two. I feel like, especially someone who spent almost 20 years in corporate and didn't see myself traditionally as an entrepreneur. I always say to people, if you've got an idea, go after it, right? Just because you don't fit a profile of what we think entrepreneurship is. But in the same vein, I also tell myself this and other people, don't let perfection stop you, because I think I am like this. I feel like things have to be perfect before I put it out there. But one of the things Gary and I challenge each other to do is build out loud, build in the open, let everyone know what you're doing, even though it may not be 100%, maybe it's 85, and people appreciate that part of the journey. So that's the advice I give to people.
Yeah. Yeah, I would second that. Building in the open, I think, has helped us to
Mhm.
get away from like the perfectionist, because I'm 100% want things to look a certain way and feel a certain way. And I think there's value to that, but it can be analysis paralysis at times. So that I saw recently of just having a sense of urgency. I think no one's coming to save you. You got to make the things that you want happen.
Yeah.
And then we see a lot of the success stories of I've made millions of dollars being an entrepreneur, but no one talks about the lonely journey of building. And so it's just truly brick by brick. It's one day at a time. It's not easy. Like I think the sense of urgency around that is important to keep you going.
Incredible. Incredible. With that right there, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. And just can't thank you enough, Alana and Gary, for coming on the show and sharing your incredible journey and your insights with us. And as I mentioned earlier, the drive, the passion that you guys have, it's clear as day that you're going to do some amazing things in the space with Untold Impact. So truly an honor and a pleasure to have you both on the show today. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And also check out Untold Impact at untold-impact.com to learn more about their culture and community strategies. And follow Alana and Gary on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/Alana C and linkedin.com/in/Gary-Johnson. For more resources and insights, you can visit us here at closers.io, where we are dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their growth. Until then, keep climbing, and we will see you on the next one.